All right, I think we are live. Hey everyone, Hassan
Woo!
here. Welcome to the world of Ha. Today, got a special live stream going, and we got a lot to talk about. But just so you don't have to hear my voice the entire time, I got two special guests. Before I introduce them, you'll see this image on screen right now, which is going to sum up a lot of our discussions for today. So let me take off this image. And all right, there we go. So, as you know, I am Hassan, and I'm joined today by two very special people. We have Josh here with us,
What's happening, guys?
and we have Kevin.
Hey guys, what's up?
So, thank you both, first of all, for joining in on this discussion.
Hey, I would do anything to hang out with the YouTube sensation sweeping the nation.
Yeah, thanks. I think this might be my first time doing some sort of stream like this, so I'm happy to be invited.
Yeah, no, it's cool. I figured, this would be a lot of fun to kind of have some other opinions going as well, and have a mini little Power Morphicon reunion on a Google Hangout. Definitely.
Yeah.
So for those that have not seen my vlogs from Power Morphicon, go check it out. It was a great time, definitely. So a lot of fun. And shout out to everybody in the chat as well. Oh, shout out to Javery Jefferson for just donating $5. You are
Javery,
awesome. Thank you,
MVP.
Javery. Appreciate that. We got a lot to talk about, so hopefully this discussion is going to be worth it. But shout out to everybody in the chat as well. What's up, everyone? Hey, Eric. Eric's in the chat. Eric, if you are interested, shoot me a message. I'll get you in here too. We got to get a little Power Morphicon, reunion going. So if you're watching, Eric, and you want to join in, let me know. I'll send you the link.
Eric doesn't have opinions at all.
None at all. Speaking of which, the Ranger Command Power Hour podcast, I'm sure you'll hear all about a lot of the stuff we're talking about. He's editing right now. Okay, well, stay tuned to the Ranger Command Power Hour podcast and check that out soon as well. So basically today, there's going to be a bunch of things we're talking about, but I want to talk about the state of Power Rangers as a franchise, in particular, a big focus on the toys, because there's some stuff going on. We have some stuff to talk about. So where do we even begin? I guess we'll start with the big stuff, right? The legacy figures. Just jump right into it. Oh man. Okay. These legacy figures. So little bit of a background story here, and let me see if I can get an image while I talk, just for reference, because that will really help. I can do another screen share thing. I've never done the screen share thing on Google Hangouts before, so I feel like that's a pretty quick and handy thing to do. So basically, and I'm trying to multitask now. It's not working. Okay. Let me do a quick little screen share. Okay, legacy figures. We know Bandai has released a bunch of different figures from various seasons, and they have plans to release other ones in the coming, weeks and months, and so on. And so the very beginning, the line released, right? And it was what we wanted. I mean, cool, detailed, articulated, great looking figures. Then their next wave of figures, there's some inconsistencies with the paint of the Mighty Morphin ones, right? The belt buckles were off. Some of there's a little minor paint issues. Okay, you know what? We can forgive that and move on, right? But then they're releasing all this stuff without the signature weapons of the Rangers. So everybody's like, we want weapons. So Bandai says, okay, we'll re-release the figures again, but metallic, and give you the weapons, which was not the best idea in my opinion, because then everybody's like, we don't want to rebuy the figures and get just for the weapons, which those figures are also really hard to find anyways, because the stores are stocked with all the female figures that are not selling. So you can't find them anywhere except Walgreens, of all places, and none of my Walgreens even have them. So this is a disaster from a stock perspective too.
And not to mention that the weapons aren't exactly high grade.
Oh God, don't even get me started on those promo images. Oh man.
I'm looking at my Jason right now from across the room, and his power sword is it's like jagged. I don't even know. I was trying to think of like another Power Ranger. It's like if anybody remembers Fury's sword from Dino Charge, it's like that. It's so bad.
It's just it's yeah. If you haven't seen it, guys, it's kind of sad. And then on top of that, even okay, despite all of those issues, and we're like, all right, you know what? Forget the metallic Mighty Morphin stuff. We're ready for the new stuff. At least we can just move past all that and just focus on the new content. We have some Zeo and Dino Thunder stuff coming soon, right? And so finally, spotted in stores, and this is the image that I'm going to try and attempt to share here. Is an image of the figures on the store shelves. And so you'll see we got some Dino Thunder figures there. We got some Zeo figures. But if you look closely, there's a Zeo Gold Ranger, right? But notice a distinct lack of gold in said Gold Ranger.
Oh.
So we are now...
Go ahead.
I was going to say we're presenting the Butterscotch Zeo Ranger now as the new name.
Oh, my
Power
goodness.
Ranger Zeo, brought to you by Werther's Original.
Oh my gosh. I think what's also jarring is, and he didn't see it there, somebody could have bought it, we don't know the full story, but Zeo Yellow isn't there either. So it makes you wonder what's going on with the girl figures too, because Zeo Yellow is supposed to be part of this wave.
Well, yeah, and she was on the back of the box, right? But there's been instances in the past, decade that we've seen stuff that was on boxes that actually never made it to stores. Like, so you can't necessarily guarantee that, can't take that as evidence.
Oh yeah, exactly. It worries me, and I'm hoping somebody else will find the case assortment soon and be like, oh yeah, she's here. And like, well, we can just write this one off as okay, she wasn't with that one. But I think Toku Chris said that there was instances where like, and it might not be the right case, but there's 2 blues in it instead of, I don't know. It's and it doesn't help with the if you go to like Big Bad Toy Store, it doesn't help that all they have a metallic listing for is red, black, and blue.
Right. Yeah. No, because I was looking for that too. Because the part of me is still debating if I'm going to buy those figures or not. I was like, I'm not going to like be out, spending too much time looking for them. And then I saw they were up on Big Bad Toy Store, but then I was like, oh wait, it's just 3 of them, which I'm not just going to buy 3 of them. I need a team if I'm going to buy them.
I have a second set if you do want them. So if you decide you want them, let me know. But I do have a second set in box if you choose to get them.
Oh, cool. But
anyway, on to bigger issues.
Yeah, I just don't know. Oh man, it's just kind of sad to see, because it's like, the thing is, the Legacy toy line was sort of the premium part of the toy line, right? Like, this is designed for collectors. This is what is out there for the older fans, and you expect a higher quality for these figures. And so for me, the biggest thing is, and I think the biggest thing, and I know there's a lot of people online that are obviously upset about it, which makes perfect sense, but it's not just the gold paint. That's not the one issue. It's everything leading up to this. It's like you keep kicking the person while he's down. It's like, what is going on? It's just constant, like it's the stocking issues, now paint issues, all sort, like one by one, there's multiple different problems that keep popping up.
Well,
like,
oh, sorry, Kevin, but the thing I thought about earlier today that I never really even had seen brought up yesterday was, the Legacy Power Sword. You have this, what was it, $150, $200? I think it was $150, right? Is what it started out at retail.
Yeah.
Yep.
You have this item that costs over $100 that takes up a lot of shelf space. So you're really gonna have a little bit on shelves to begin with, and it's not even completely painted.
It's missing those bits on the blade.
Yeah, and I know that's not the biggest deal in the world, but man, if I'm paying almost $200 for something after tax, I'd like for it to, I'd like to not have to use a Sharpie to finish it up.
Right.
This stuff that needs to be done at the factory. And it's funny. I was thinking about this last night. We have had, I think, out of 4 or 5, I don't know, it depends on how you count like the movie wave and all that, but we've only had really 1 or 2 successful waves of legacy figures. And I'd say that was the first wave in Ninja Storm and then the movie wave. I think those are the only 2 like successful waves where like we had no problems with distribution. The paint was really well done. I think, you know, for what they could do with the movie figures and stuff like that. But every other wave has had 1, 2, or multiple like glaring issues with it where it's like, come on, what are we doing here? Like, hard, especially since, you know, Marvel, DC, you know, Star Wars, they've all been doing this for Rangers has been doing it. There's a model at this point that they should be kind of following.
Yeah, I mean, it really shouldn't be that difficult. And like, I mean, it just, you know, I just put up this image here to kind of illustrate the difference that I saw on Twitter of like it really is just terrible. And I know, you know, this person put an image from the show here, but if you look at even the prototype ones that they were showing off before this, it looked, you know, shiny gold compared to what we're actually getting. And so it's kind of, it's disappointing.
Well,
Especially, go ahead, Ben. Oh, I was going to say, especially considering we've gotten how many gold Zeo figures in the last couple of years? We had 1 during Super Mega Force, and we had 1 during Jungle Fury, which I still have that one in box. And those look a million times better than this, just on the gold paint alone.
Oh, I'm with you completely there. I think that Super Legends figure is the best Gold Ranger figure we've gotten, and I don't understand how. I mean, you know, that would have been priced at $10, and I know 10 years can make a difference as far as the cost and how. And I mean, things change. That 2008 was different than 2017, but I don't.
Right.
I don't like. We can look back 5. You know, I guess it's 4 or 5 years now at those armored Megaforce figures. Those were sold for the same price point and had more accessories and better paint. It just doesn't make sense to me that you stuff about, well, you got to choose between accessories or Zord pieces. And I mean, I don't know. It's frustrating. All the things we hear, and then none of it explains why things like messed up paint works.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think this kind of stuff really points at a bigger issue going on with Bandai America right now, which is, I feel like the Legacy line in general, when it first was announced and when things were first releasing, like I was so excited. It kind of brought back like a new level of hype for me in collecting, because I was getting some of the stuff that, well, some of which I never got to have as a kid, like with the Dragon Dagger and the Megazord and all that kind of stuff, but in really nice quality, and it was awesome. But now I'm looking ahead at the future, and we have the Legacy line, which I can't get excited for it now. I mean, yeah, I might try and pick it up if I see it on the shelf or something, possibly. But like, I'm not excited for it anymore, and it will certainly reflect negatively in my review, the issues that it has with it. But then I look at the rest of the Legacy line, and you have these individual Zords that don't even combine and look terrible, and Imagine X toys look better than those. And you have like they haven't announced a new Megazord yet. I mean, yeah, Shogun Megazord, but is that really going to happen at this point? Who knows? It's like, what is there to look forward to with the Legacy line? Like it's kind of falling apart, and that's like the line that should be the higher quality stuff. And if that's falling apart, then what else is there as collectors?
I completely agree. Other than and the gold power staff, the thing I've been looking forward to the most, and I will, you know, I've said it on Ranger Command PH, I've said it, you know, all over Twitter, you know, the thing I'm most enthusiastic about is this Legacy figure line, because we can, you know, it's supposed to celebrate the Power Rangers, and I don't feel like going into this 25th anniversary that we are celebrating this thing correctly. I can't get hyped over more small scale helmets. I can't get hyped over, and I understand some people can get hyped over these, but I can't get hyped over flip head figures. I really can't. Figures. I cannot get hyped over these Zords with 2-inch Rangers that I feel like are a direct competition to Imagine X to a degree. You know, I mean, it's things, but it's essentially the same thing. You get a small figure, you put it inside. I just can't get excited about these things. I'm just like, money I can spend on Sentai next year.
Well, and I mean, we talk about I saw one of the comments, Animal 865 said, I mean, right from the start in the figures, the scale, it's literally like I'm not super familiar with everything, but is it the only 6.5 inch scale as far as major figures go? Like, why was that scale even chosen from the get-go?
I think, and I could be wrong, but I think Marvel Legends and the Star Wars Black Series, and I don't know what the DC versions are called, I think they are 6.5 inch. I could be completely wrong, though. I don't own any. Actually, I have a Star Wars Black Series figure. I can put up next to Ninja Storm. No, he's a little bit shorter than the Ninja Storm guys. So I don't know where 6.5 came from, actually.
Yeah, see, I thought all that other stuff was 6 inch, but I'm not sure. Like you, I don't collect really much of that stuff.
Right.
But if that's the case, like, I mean, like, why is that decision made from the get-go? When that's clearly you're using more plastic. I mean, I don't know how the math works, but you can dedicate that somewhere else. It's a decision. There's just a string of decisions that the more you think about them, the more you like, how can a toy company, I mean, this isn't your side business, Bandai. This is what you do. I don't
Power Rangers is their bread and butter.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a shame to see like what they're doing with it. And the thing is too, it's not just the Legacy line, like Ninja Steel. I mean, you look at the toy line there. For the last couple of years, I've been trying to collect like everything. Like I bought like every set of whatever they've released, all sorts of extra hero sets and different things that I didn't even care about, but they had little things that I thought were kind of neat and I wanted to collect. With Ninja Steel, like for the first time in a while, I'm looking at the store shelf and like looking at it and be like, you know what? I don't really need this thing. Like the Power Stars, I'm not buying them because they're just cheap. Like they're so terrible. The Lion Fire Fortress Sword, it's huge and just expensive and doesn't look that great. And it's just not worth it.
It's so funny just looking at the stark contrast between Dino Charge and Ninja Steel and how I loved the Dino Charge figures. I loved the Zords. I loved collecting the Chargers and all of that stuff. But at the same time, like I look at Ninja Steel and I'm like, these stars are just like the figures are, the figures are whatever. The Zords, I feel like, where the idea of, hey, let's, make a new Megazord. I mean, I understand, parents don't want to buy like these individual Zords apparently or something like that. But I don't feel like as enthusiastic like I did with Dino Charge. And, I don't attribute that to like my love for Kyoryuger or anything like that. I attribute that to just a meh gimmick. Like I remember finding those Ninja Power Stars and I can't wait to see how these work, and like they're foam and like they don't do much sound.
You're just like you're like, all right, I'm gonna spin it. Oh no, it doesn't spin. I have to like twist it like this, and then it like sometimes plays the sound, but then it doesn't, and it's really just weird. It's like ninja spin. Hold on, wait. Okay, there we go. Like that's how it works.
Yeah,
it's disappointing.
Your one gimmick flops. You can't even pull off what it's supposed to do. I mean,
fidget spinners. You know how crazy popular these were? And these are so much better than your own gimmick. And these are like, this is what it should have been. Not your cheap foam thing.
And didn't those come out like 6 months or 8 months into the line? Like, those were a thing well before we ever like should have had them. Like, it's just again.
I think it just kind of goes back to like I feel like they're cutting costs where they can, and it really isn't benefiting us in any way. It's the Dino Chargers. You look at those. Like I handed my little sister a Dino Charger, and I was like, "What do you think of this?" She's like, "Oh, it's so cool! It clicks and it has all these different pictures and." It's sparkly, it glows in the dark and all that. And I hand her a Ninja Star and she's like, this doesn't do anything. And I'm like, Exactly. I give her the Dino Charge Morpher. She puts it in and she spins it and she's like, oh, I want to see more. She got fed up with the Ninja Steel Morpher like within moments. And I'm like, I don't blame you. I really don't.
Yeah.
And that's from a kid, you know. I mean, I know, you know, girls aren't the number one target audience supposedly, but like still, like you hand a kid a toy, they're going to have fun with it. And like I handed her the Dino Charge Morpher. She loved it. She found play value in it. I handed her the Ninja Steel Morpher. She threw it to the side and said, can I have some of the other stuff?
And I think like that's, you know, a good point that if this is a cost-cutting measure with a lot of these decisions that are made, well, then there's other ways to do it. Like, for example, these individual Zords that nobody asked for, cut that out. The flip head figures, which, like, I'll be honest, I'm excited about it, even though I have them from when I was a kid and stuff, and I'm going to buy them. But, like, they're not necessary. They're neat, and I think it's cool they're re-releasing it, but they're not necessary. But releasing a Zeo Gold Ranger that has gold paint is kind of, you know, like important. It's kind of necessary in a way. Like it's. I feel like if they need to cut costs, there's ways to do it, and they just are consistently making bad decisions about how they're cutting costs.
Completely agree.
And I mean, I wonder what led to the flip head figure re-release. I mean, I guess calling it re-release is it. I mean, because they're sort of different, I guess, or they're supposed to have like better joints or whatever, maybe. But I want to know how that came to be. I don't remember that ever being something people asked for, like a PMC or anything like that. I'm sure there was some like focus. I assume every decision that gets made, there's some kind of focus group that's led to that decision. But why? And I mean, because again, I look at it. You know, the case assortment is what? It's 4 Tommies, 1 Kim, and 1 Jason.
I hope that's false.
I mean, to me, it blatantly, it really just looks like it's another reason to put a freaking green there on the shelves for retailers. And it may be, I mean, again, we don't know. Maybe retailers asked for that. And I get it. I'm sure those Ninja Turtle things that were, you know, repackaged, re-released top things seem to do really well. And I think it's cool. It'll be cool to see them on the shelves. And I may buy them myself, just for nostalgia's sake. But I don't know. Again, they're like Austin said, they're not necessary. It's either, you know, the reason? Mighty Morphin. Because they need more Mighty Morphin, and they can't figure out what else to do. So they made the exact same replicas of the original toys because they've already released those Rangers before. Now they just need to release them again in different forms because it's all Mighty Morphin. And that's the sad part. And then when we finally get to new seasons like Dino Thunder and Zeo represented in the line, we get what we got. You know, it's frustrating.
It's funny when you break it down too, and you just look at the past like year. Let's say you go back to last year when the Legacy figures started, and you label how many Mighty Morphin things have come out, and you put them up against how many non-Mighty Morphin things come up. Like people are surprised. Like, why is there such a fatigue for Mighty Morphin? Oh, I don't know. The Legacy line started back in 13. Did it start? I don't remember when it started, but it started so long ago, and we have so much Mighty Morphin stuff now. And I like Mighty Morphin as much as the next guy. I enjoy it. It's fun. The suits are cool and all that. But come on, you know, give me some Jungle Fury. Give me some Mystic Force. You know, I got more excited when they announced that Artisan SP license than I ever did about a Power Sword because it's something different. You know, oh hey, cool. It's, you know, this is something else I can play with. You know, this is something else that isn't the same. And I look at my shelves and what do I see? I see, you know, stacks of Mighty Morphin pop vinyls. I see Legacy figures. I see the Fig Arts. I see those other figures that they did with the old school packaging. You know, it's just like, how much more Mighty Morphin can you do? Obviously a lot. And I don't play Bandai. Please don't take that as a challenge. But it's just like, I get it. It's recognizable, but you got to do something for your fans. Like we're a big, I mean, not a huge target, but we're a big target here that we, you know, is just begging to be fed. And, you know, it's been thrown around before, but I feel like this just leads to why we need to have like a premium Bandai in a sense. You know, I'd be willing to pay $5 more to have the Gold Ranger not look like a box of Kraft macaroni and cheese.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think the thing is too, is like, I mean, obviously on everywhere there's all this like negativity out there about what Bandai's doing and everything. But I think the important piece is that it's not negativity just for the sake of being negative. Like, we want to spend money. Like, we are ready. We're collectors, we're fans, and we're complaining because we want it to be better so we can spend more money on the products. And when Bandai does do good stuff like the Legacy Power Sword, like, people buy it, people like it, so it's just a matter of wanting things to be better. And like, looking ahead, the Legacy line, it's like, I'm not hyped about much. And Ninja Steel, I mean, obviously that line has issues, and I don't know how Super Ninja Steel, that toy line, is going to be. I know there was some stuff that started to come out today, some pictures of some of the product packages and that sort of thing.
That Blue Ranger package is so good.
Yeah, you know what? Let me pull up Power Rangers Now. Awesome. Did like a side-by-side comparison. So shout out to Power Rangers Now, and I will let me share this here. Just to show, everybody that like when Bandai does something right, I mean, we applaud it. It's not just like hating on it. So there's the image right there of the new style of packaging for Super Ninja Steel.
That looks so cool, and it makes me want to buy it because it looks cool.
Right.
Well, and plus, you see the Morphers or whatever that is. I've not paid. I can't say I've paid the most attention to Ninja Steel, so I'm not even sure what that is. But it's in a box. It's not open for people to slop germs all over it and lick it or whatever they do in the store with it. You're not going to get things chipped off before you ever even see it.
Right.
And that's the kind of, I mean, and that's a case, I mean, I don't know why they did that. I'd like to think it's because we've, as collectors, have complained about that for a while. I'm more inclined to think it's probably, again, like some focus group thing. I'm not, there are things that there are times I've thought, oh, they're listening, but they far outweigh the times where I've thought they're just not paying attention or they don't care. I mean, again, like with the Legacy line, it's allegedly a collector's oriented line. And I get that. I mean, for retailers, you need to have products that push not just towards a niche audience like us, but why say that it's a collector's high-end line and then fill it with stuff we don't want?
Yeah. I mean, I think like this is the type of thing that, when you do it right, like people take notice, and like, it's kind of sad too when this Ninja Super Steel Mode Blue Ranger figure has more gold than the Zeo Gold Ranger. Like, but it looks like, okay, you could argue the design of the figure. Some people say it's like over designed and this, that, whatever, but like, it looks neat. It looks interesting. It looks fresh. That's the kind of stuff we want to see throughout the toy line. And just, I think, this is kind of neat. My one little gripe, I think, with the packaging, not really a gripe per se, but it's kind of odd, is the fact that Super Ninja Steel is separate from Power Rangers, like the logo. Like, there's no logo that's together, which is kind of odd, especially on the Morpher box. I feel like it just looks really tiny like that. It's a little weird, but overall the packaging style is really neat, and like, this is kind of neat. And I know we saw some Legacy packaging at the recent Comic-Con that was kind of not exactly like this, but kind of similar. I think it was grayish, but it had like the lightning bolt like this. So maybe this is sort of their direction they're heading in with the packaging, but I don't know.
Right. I feel like the big thing, and I don't know how other toy fandoms and all that kind of work. I don't know how Hasbro works and all that kind of stuff with like Star Wars and Transformers, but I feel like there's just such a disconnect. And we had that when Greg was with Bandai, but now we don't have that connection. And I feel like if Bandai could be a little bit more upfront with us and communicate with us, and just like for example, when way back when we saw the Legacy Zeo Gold figure, they were talking about like, oh, this is a prototype. And if they came out and said, okay, here's the deal, it's going to cost more to have it actual gold. So we're going to do, would you guys, we can release it like this, and we can, it won't be 100% great, but, we're letting you know ahead of time. Or, we could do a run of them online or through Big Bad Toy Store or, some market or Toys R Us exclusive where it's going to cost a little bit more, but we're giving you what you want. I feel like if we had that communication, we're able to, voice our opinion, because we voice our opinions, but how often are we really heard? I earlier today I was thinking, Power MorpherCon 2018, I'm ready for that Bandai panel because I'm gonna ask them some questions, but how far is that gonna go? I just feel like nobody feels like they're listening. And if we had that little bit of connection, to be able to, like we do with Jason Bischoff, he is phenomenal at what he does, and he is phenomenal at getting the fandom hyped for anything. When that 25th announcement came out with the escape rooms and all that, I was like, yeah, this is great, I am super pumped for this. But like, you look at Bandai and it's like, I'm not super pumped for this at all. You release one thing and then it comes out completely differently. And I put out on a poll on Twitter earlier saying, if you would have known this was going to happen, like if at the last convention Zeo Gold had been that butterscotch color, would you have been as upset? And a lot of people are like, no, I wouldn't have been upset, because it wouldn't have been, them essentially, I don't want to say lying, but like putting a front for us, Imagine, and I've seen his tweets, I can only imagine how like Toku Chris is handling this right now. He was super pumped for that figure. And now it's just like, they take your favorite Ranger and they butcher it. And
Yeah. No, I think like really they need somebody like Jason, at Saban. They need somebody at Bandai like him. And we really are losing out with the fact that we don't have Greg there now. And you can see that. I mean, you can see that there's zero communication. There's no, line with the fandom there. And the thing is, like, if they want to release stuff for people to buy, like they need to get feedback from the community, and they need to look out for that. And the sad part is, Toku Chris did an amazing article on Toku Nation, by the way. So for those that haven't read it, go to Toku Nation, check out his article about this whole thing. He made a lot of great points. But one of the points he made is they have like one or two select few people or sites that they kind of go to for a lot of the stuff that like Bandai tends to channel things through them to release out to everybody. But like, where's the communication with the community as a whole? Where's like that direct contact, the direct feedback? And so it makes you think that like they're not going to change anything. Like, I don't have any hope that things are going to get better. And it's kind of sad that even though things were great with Ranger keys and other stuff in the past, like the fact that they didn't release all of the Rangers, or they didn't, complete certain collections, made me think going into the legacy figure line, I was like, I don't expect them to release every single Ranger. Even though they say sometimes like they make these promises, I don't expect it, because their behavior is, consistently falling short of expectations. And it seems like it's only getting worse and worse as time goes on.
Well, yeah, you have this yeah, with like the Ranger keys, and things, it reached a point where most of those did come out, and I think some of that was in response to demand for that. I mean, it was seen that people wanted those, but you have these ebbs and flows, and then that's maybe the worst part of it, because I mean, you take just a few years ago that Super Mega Force line with all the Red Rangers, you created this. I mean, and those were hard to find. There were stock issues and everything, but I think most people were pretty happy with that line and how it was executed, because it was a fairly cheap action figure line with a lot of different Rangers and a lot of celebration of different seasons of the show, and so that's kind of like a high point. And then you have these kind of like it's a roller coaster. I mean, you can't count on Bandai to release products that are going to meet, I think, minimum expectations for what they should for the prices they release them at. Dragonzord, Legacy Dragonzord's freaking awesome. I think that might be my favorite ever been released. And then have turn around within a year and you're selling Legacy Falcon Zord for $60, and it's a fine toy, but at that price, it's like, well, I was never shocked when I saw 12 of them sitting at Toys R Us every time I went in there. You have these decisions they make that, again, I think I'm with Kevin. I think a lot of it would be solved if you opened a premium Bandai top site where you set expectations. Maybe the prices are higher, but I think overall you start building that loyalty back up that degrading.
Yeah, like I agree. Like you look at, like you were saying, Dragon Zord, and we had Thunder Megazord, and like Thunder Megazord had those issues with the knees, but they quickly came out and said, okay, hey, we'll send you this part that should fix it. And then you look at Falcon Zord, and that price was pretty high. And then I don't know if you guys have either of them, but you look at it connected to the Ninja Megazord, and it's like hanging on a thread. Like that thing does not want to stay on. So I mean, they did Shogun Megazord clips. You couldn't have done a Falcon Zord clip a little bit better. And like, I hear people saying, oh no, a premium site wouldn't work. You were on Premium Bandai ordering those Sentai Figuarts when they were a thing. And, people were going nuts when those were out. I remember when the Thunder Rangers came out and they released them stateside. I was pumped for those. I had no problem spending $80 for two of them. I'm not expecting, that kind of quality. Legacy figures. I know a lot of people would disagree. I don't mind paying an extra $5, $10 if it gets us a really nice paint job and it gets us multiple accessories, and it's I feel like you could really make this line succeed. And on top of that, doing things like, Marvel Legends does this thing where it doesn't matter what is in that wave. You could have a Thor Ragnarok wave like that's out right now. And some of the stuff is comic book related and some of it's movie related, but it all builds the same figure. If you really want to do this build a figure, I shouldn't have to wait 3 waves to get my Dino Megazord. And now you look at the new wave and you have a body of a Zeo Megazord, and I'm guessing the leg, if yellow, is out, and you have 2 arms for the Thunder Source Megazord from Dino Thunder. And it's like, well, these 2 arms are just going to kind of chill. I remember my Astro Megazord was standing on 1 leg with no limbs for the longest time because they're not releasing, if you want to do a Build-A-Figure, you could have done a Goldar in wave 1, and that would have given people 6 figures like you're doing with Alpha, even though it's not directly tied to the Psycho Rangers and In Space Silver, you're still doing Alpha 5, and that still gives you an additional figure, and you don't have to wait, till 2025 to have something completed. God, it scares me to wonder what would happen if they would have been like, oh, we're going to package the 2 legs to the Storm Megazord with the Thunder Rangers, because they're not even, on the radar as far as...
Well, yeah, I mean, the problem is, as I say, the line's probably going to end is like before they plan to, and we're going to have half a Megazord at some point. Whatever that Megazord is, we're going to have half a Megazord, and that's what we're going to be stuck with.
That could have been its own figure, I feel. Like you could have had a case assortment of 6. You could have 5 Rangers with weapons and a little, some nice paint, and then do a Megazord like they did with the Power Morphicon Megazord and the one from NYCC, I think it was, with the movie Megazord. You could have done that. And it would have been, it would have been awesome. Oh, cool. Yeah, I'll buy this Megazord figure. It fits in with everything and all that. But there's like, what? How come the fans are coming up with better ideas here that, would please? I mean, granted, we chat about this crap every day because, we're obsessed. But like,
I would hope Bandai's chatting about it every day and trying to and be obsessed about it. Like, come on, Bandai, it's only your job to make toys. Like,
it's my job is significantly different from you guys, and I'm putting more thought into this, and I communicate with people better than this on Twitter and stuff like that. It's
Well, you wonder. I mean, I like that idea of why again you like these decisions, the 6.5-inch scale, you create Build-A-Figures that don't connect, and you need 2 or 3 waves to complete them. I mean, what leads to that decision? I know we weren't asked. We might have been asked at some point if we wanted to build a figure. I don't remember, but that may have been asked. But I'm sure it wasn't presented. Oh, if you want 3 of parts to this Megazord and 2 parts to this Megazord, would you want that? That's stupid. Like that. I mean, if you're a kid, I mean, think about that. If you're a kid going into a store, because these are, I mean, kids are buying these. I would assume it's not just collectors.
Oh yeah.
You look at the back of those boxes, and they've got different pictures on the back of them, connecting different things. Why would you want to buy that over something like a Spider-Man figure and a Venom figure and a Spider-Woman figure and whatever else that connects and builds a Hobgoblin? Like, there's just no incentive to purchase on site.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that's probably not talked about enough, that decision right there.
I mean, and I get where they're coming from. Like, oh, we're going to package a part from that season with that Ranger. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, we get it. We get why you're doing it. But it's just going to leave a hole somewhere. It's going to leave a Megazord without an arm. It's going to leave a Megazord standing on a shelf with one leg for the longest time because we have to wait so long. And I don't know what Marvel Legends like distribution is like, but like I feel like getting 3 waves a year is or 3 or 4 waves a year isn't a lot in my opinion. I feel like we could be doing a little bit more. Again, I don't know how Marvel Legends work and all that kind of stuff, but I feel like we could be getting an extra wave in there, pumping these figures out a little faster. It's not like they're changing the mold up or anything because all the female figures are completely inaccurate. And, you know, all the male Rangers are the exact same mold, sans maybe some extra details and stuff like that. It makes you wonder, like, you're not putting that much more detail into these things. You're not changing up the mold or anything. So why does it take so long? And don't tell me it's because we're not picking up the figures. We're picking up the figures. Everybody who wanted Ashley picked up Ashley. Trust me. When I found her, I grabbed her. Mm-hmm. Guess what I've seen since then? Guess what everybody's seen since then? We've done our part. Like,
yeah, we shouldn't have to go and buy 5 Ashleys to get the next wave of figures to come into the store. Like, that's not our responsibility. That's on Bandai to fix that distribution. And like, that's not okay. Because now I'm stuck with 5 Ashleys at my store that I'm not going to buy because I already have one. I did my part. And I have to hunt down figures at Walgreens that I only half want just because of some crappy little like weapons that, you know, whatever, in order to even get the next wave of Zeo and Dino Thunder figures, which also have problems. It's like, come on, Bandai, like, we want to buy your products. Just help us help you.
Right. Like, I feel there could be some discussion. Go ahead, Josh. I've ranted enough.
Oh, no, you're good, man. But you're all right. I mean, that whole, when they started coming out, and again, like, so the only communication we've had is through, you know, websites that aren't really in the fandom saying, oh, you should push, you've got to buy these figures or else we're not going to make anymore. Well, what kind of message does that send when clearly we're purchasing them, following it, and we're complaining about it? Like, we own these things. We know what you're selling us. I don't get that mentality where you're, I mean, to a point, we are responsible. Like, we have to buy the product for it to move. Ostensibly, that idea I understand, but we are purchasing them. We're making opinions. We're forming critiques. I don't. Again, and to me, it's a case. It seems more like it's just not working at retail. I don't think it's because of the fans. I think it's because of you're making too much. Maybe. Maybe. I mean, again, I think these are all points that point to why a website should exist, why all this stuff should be funneled through its own thing. And I know BOA hasn't had, you know, distribution itself in the past, but maybe it's something they could work out through Amazon or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of options for that kind of thing. I think they have to be willing to do them and explore those options, but they don't seem to be.
And it's funny because, like, they tell us, oh, well, you need to buy these figures if you want them to leave the shelves. Like, you can't tell me that that's all of our fault. It's not our fault that you sent Mighty Morphin white and yellow and you sent like 12 of them to Walmart and then you sent the 3 other In Space Rangers to GameStop. Like, no. You can't force that blame on us. That was you guys. Like, you're the ones who separated it. You're the reason people can't find these last 3 in space figures because GameStop got one, shipment in of them. No, that whole you guys need to buy the figures thing. You can't push that on us because I went to Target and Walmart last night just out of curiosity. I'm like, they were spotted. I wonder if I can find them. I found 5 Trinis and 7 Tommies. I don't have to check that Walmart for a while because that they're not going to move. They're going to sit there. I'm not doing this. It'd be so different if it were like hypothetically, like, we just need to get these little, like the 5-inch figures out. I wouldn't mind buying an extra 5-inch figure and giving it to Toys for Tots or something like that. That would be fine. I'm not going to buy another $20 figure just to push your stock through. Like, no, you can't. I mean, I don't know. Again, I don't know how all this works, but you're telling me you can't take those molds back and reuse them in some sort of way? Like I said earlier, it's the same mold throughout. You have 2 molds. You can't tell me that you can't reuse that mold or something like that. And I know that probably hits them a little bit, but learn your lesson. Learn your lesson from this. I don't know.
Right.
I mean, we can. I'm sure we can. The fandom is at fault at certain things, and we do voice our opinions, but you can't. We can't. The blame can't fall on us. We are fandom. We do our part as best as we can. And we voice our opinion, but it feels like we don't get that return. And when they say we're listening, well, you listened with the belts pretty well, with the Money Morphin belts, and look where it's gotten us. It's gotten us, a Butterscotch Ranger, and
officially canon Butterscotch Ranger.
I look at like I don't know if you guys have them. I'm sure you do, Hassan. I don't know about you, Josh, but like I'm looking at that Money Morphin green figure. And it's got so much gold on it, so many gold paint apps at that. And you can't tell me that figure, which has several different colors on it, you can't tell me you can't do a Zeo gold figure, which I think literally only has 2 colors, which are black and gold. Whereas Money Morphin green, I'm seeing like 5 different colors on there.
Yeah, there's a lot more I think that they could be doing better. There was a comment in the chat from Lucky Chips earlier, and he's like, "New topic is Power Rangers dead." So I wanted to kind of like tie that into what we were talking about of like, I mean, obviously Bandai and the toys, it's a huge part of Power Rangers. I mean, it's why Power Rangers exists, to sell toys. I mean, let's be honest, right? Like that's the main thing. But there's other pieces to Power Rangers and what Saban Brands is doing. The 25th anniversary next year. Obviously, there's different things like the live tours and they have all these other partnerships with like Boom Comics for stuff. I mean, like Power Rangers, the Power Rangers Hyperforce, right? All these different ways that they're promoting the show and sort of hyping up this 25th anniversary. But what does the outlook of the franchise look like? Like for me, like as a fan, I feel like for a 25th anniversary, I should be really hyped and excited. But I feel like lately I'm just kind of like, oh, that's cool. 25 years, sure. Like, okay. Like I feel like so much of what's happening is kind of dampening my expectations because, I mean, for one, with the toys, I have very low expectations now because of everything that's happening. I mean, Saban Brands, there's some potential cool stuff happening with Super Ninja Steel with the show and that sort of thing. But ultimately, I mean, if it's anything like Ninja Steel, it's been one of my least favorite seasons with the terrible writing and everything. And it's just, I don't think Power Rangers is quote unquote dead right now. But not to like, I don't know if it's jumping the gun or not. I mean, if things keep up like this for another couple of years, I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility, because if the toy sales go down, I mean, that's obviously big right there. The quality of the show going down, ratings are decreasing on the show. The movie did decently, but it did not do well enough seemingly for a sequel because that hasn't been announced. So all these big initiatives for the show are kind of falling flat. So if things don't pick up, like where does that leave the franchise, Well,
I think that's an excellent point you kind of made towards the end. There are these things that are performing well, right? Like the movie, like it didn't make a lot of money, but I think most fans loved it. And I think most people who watched it who even weren't fans, at least in my circles, really got a kick out of it. The comics are freaking amazing. I think almost everybody loves those. I don't hear many people saying bad words about those at all. The Hyperforce thing, that's not really my kind of deal, but people seem to be having a good time with it. But these are things that are, the movie's less so, but that are tangential to the main items, which are the show and the toys, which are where you're bleeding. Like you've got wounds in these areas that are your bread and butter, and you're doing, I think, most of the other stuff pretty damn well. But those things can't carry the franchise, and I think the movie could have. I think really, if you look at it, the brand as a whole tied a lot of its, reigns to that movie. And I don't think that was a bad gamble, but it's clearly probably not paid off, especially the way they would have liked for it to.
Yeah, I mean, I think the movie in particular, it may not have gotten the sales or whatever potentially to receive a sequel and stuff, but it was fairly well received, and people that saw it enjoyed it. I mean, that was the perfect avenue to then direct people to be like, oh yeah, wait, Power Rangers is still on TV? Let me check this out. They're going to turn on the TV and see Ninja Steel and turn it off. They're going to go to the store shelf and be like, I kind of remember being a kid and buying Power Rangers toys and all that, and the movie, let me check out these movie suits. They're kind of cool. Let me check out the toys. And there's not much available except 20 of the Power Rangers movie Morpher sitting there that's not selling, and the giant Megazord that's right, exactly, that too. And it's okay, so then they're not going to be able to make more movie toys because that stuff didn't sell well. So it's the movie's fantastic, and it had the potential to carry the franchise further. It was a gamble, but it kind of didn't help follow through, and everything else kind of has to be there as a foundation. The comics, again, they're fantastic. They can't carry the franchise. Power Rangers Hyperforce, I'm really enjoying it. It can't carry the franchise. They really comes down to the show, and ultimately the toys are a huge part of that because that's really what drives it forward.
It's funny, just kind of I look at myself at the beginning of the year and how I was excited and was proud to be a Power Rangers fan, and now I'm what are we doing here? I remember taking friends. Friends wanted to see this movie, and I have two friends now. So it was originally my girlfriend and my best friend who came to MorpherCon with me last year, going to MorpherCon next year. I have two more friends going with me now to MorpherCon because of this one movie, and I feel that is we're gonna party it up this time. But I feel like there was, this movie had so much it could do. One of my friends is watching RPM now because she's super interested. She's like, what's a good season to watch? I'm like, watch RPM. That's a great introduction to the series. It's kind of standalone and it gets you interested. And so she's not gonna go out and buy every figure. She's not gonna go out and, tune into every big major event and stuff like that. And you look at Power Rangers for the 25th anniversary, and while you should be excited, I'm terrified what's going to happen come year 26. You do all this stuff for the 25th anniversary, and all right, this is going to be awesome. What is going to happen with the branding after the 25th? All right, the hype is over. We did our thing. Now what? Where do we go from here? And that's my biggest worry. And I feel Toku Chris was posting on Twitter, and I saw him, saying that, there apparently are good things coming, knowing that Ninja Steel is finished filming, but I feel like if you really want to hit and do something great coming, after the 25th anniversary, I feel like you need to capture everybody, casuals, people have never seen the show, the fans. And I feel like part of that is starting off by doing something big with the show. And I feel Q Ranger is kind of the way to go with that. You have a great toy line. You have so many Rangers, and you have a space themed. And what is the most received season out there other than Mighty Morphin? It's in space. If you did another really cool space opera, it could pull so many people in because, you look at Star Wars, you look at Star Trek, you look at some of the, Marvel movies, they take place in space because you can explore and, dive into new parts of this universe. And I feel like 25 years in, we should be diving into something new. So I feel like that's something that's got to keep going. And then you get people interested in the comics. You get people, interested in wanting to buy the DVDs and stuff like that. And then you have to just keep that hype train constantly moving, I feel. You have to, and it doesn't have to be through special events, like escape rooms and like the live show. But and I think another wrong way to do it is to base it off of what you did in 1995 when Power Rangers was at its peak. You can't go off of stuff like that. Just like the TV show now, you can't go off of this slapstick humor. Every Ranger is a goody good. That's not how it works. Power Rangers succeeded in 95 because it was 1995. This is 2017. It's time to move into 2017 and maybe not like other shows have, but just progress a little bit, move forward. You look at shows like Gravity Falls, and that, for 2 seasons captured me and enthralled me with television. You can't tell me you can't take a show about superheroes and make it interesting. They did it with the comic book. They took my least favorite season of Power Rangers, which is the first season, and made a comic book that makes me interested in this stuff now. Like, it's not that hard. And I know Power Rangers is cheesy. The production value is kind of wherever, but you can't tell me you can't write a good story. I don't need an episode, where we're playing this game of telephone where the Rangers are being tricked by a monster because he's got, the same voice as the Rangers. Come on, this is not 1993 anymore. That was a cute 1993 plot. We need something more. They're ninjas. We need to be doing ninja things, not going to math class, not hiding out in the garage, and pimping out our ninja stars and stuff like that. It's just,
What the bringing that up and just the quality of the show and the writing of the show, I know they're hamstrung by the Sentai footage and how they have to work that in and weave around that. But we do get a pretty good amount of American shot footage. And what it's dedicated to is ridiculous. Like, and I think so much about the story structure. And I mean, I'm a writer, not like a film writer or anything, but just story is something that fascinates me. When was the last time an episode of Power Rangers didn't end with, oh, Monster of the Day grows, outside of a finale? Monster of the Day grows, we kill it, we Rangers forever, we're awesome, whatever.
Play the wrong theme song.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that slogan. Rangers forever, we're awesome, whatever. That's great.
I feel like we could write like a parody comic about this. Thank you, Josh. I'm gonna use that now. I'm gonna write a comic about this.
Well, what's sad is that parody would sound just like the episode. Like that's
the episodes just parody themselves. It's like,
come on, guys. We know Car Ranger was a parody in Sentai. You don't have to do it in Power Rangers. Like, it's okay. You don't have to make fun of yourselves. But you were saying, go ahead, Josh.
But yeah, I mean, so you look at that, and I even look at you even the best received seasons. I think most people, maybe this is my personal bias, but In Space, Time Force, RPM, those seasons, I think all were pretty well received by most people, and they're unique, but they don't stray too far from the formula either. Like, most of their episodes are still doing the kind of same basic Power Rangers nonsense where you're growing a monster, you're killing a monster of the day. But they had these elements that, just and not even the most complicated characters, but they had character. Like, they had these people that seemed like real people you would want to root for. And I don't know if, I mean, we've never, you brought up like a superhero show. Like, I think so much like not Teen Titans, Young Justice. Why can't Power Rangers have that quality of writing? And that's maybe a high bar, but even something right below that would be worlds beyond what we're getting right now.
I feel, oh God.
No, it wasn't. I segue that into thinking, for me, the thing that would keep me really into Power Rangers, the show, as far as the show side, would be if the Boom comics got adapted into something, in addition to the main series. And I know
kind of like the DC animated movies.
Like, it takes away from what Power Rangers is, which is a live action cartoon. But it would keep, personally as a fan, I would love to see that. It's, especially if it's an additional, it's a side, like a 10 episode miniseries or a couple DTV movies or something.
Yeah, I can agree there. And I feel like, you were saying about like high received seasons and the quality of the writing. I feel like with a few tweaks, and, some people will be quick to disagree, but I feel like Dino Charge could have been like that new kind of start to it, because when it came to the true Ranger plot stuff, like toward the end of the series with the Dark Energem and the Silver Ranger, that plot stuff I feel was like, I don't want to say classic Power Rangers, but it felt like very much like something that was worth watching. If you took out all kind of the silly side stories, and you can do side stories based with the Rangers. I feel like when, Riley and his brother and all of them went fishing, I thought that was a great side story. But then you have something like, the Triceratops song, and you have something like, oh, we're going to try out for the boy band. You don't need to do that. You can make an interesting story without having to, appeal to the people who, like this kind of stuff. It's an action show. You should be able to have, real consequences in a sense, and not, kind of sugarcoat it in the end. Oh, we destroyed the monster, Yeah, you destroyed the monster, but the Dark Energem's still out there. But hey, I'm going to go try out for this boy band. Like,
right.
Come on. Go ahead.
I'd say, like, what you're saying, like, I totally agree. They have to commit to it. I think, like, they have this whole story arc of Tyler trying to, find his dad and everything. And, like, Dino Charge was great. And then you hit Dino Supercharge and it all fell apart because it was like, oh, I found you, Dad. And then he just disappears. And, like, they act like, oh, it's not a big deal anymore. Like, you've been looking for your dad for so long and you finally found, like, what? Like, how are you just going to drop this like that, And then they have the whole, in Ninja Steel, like, the fake, robot Aiden and stuff. And then, like, so quickly that plot is resolved. And it's like, okay, here's, it's now Levi's actually Aiden. And it's like, oh, well, okay, so that's it. Like, just a fake out for, like, a short little period of time. Like, do a season-long fake out. Really trick us and, like, get us to really, get convinced. And then change it up. And then, like, you really feel for the characters more. I think that's where you get real character development and real story that comes out of it. Because, yeah, you can still have the cheesy Power Ranger stuff. You can still have the weirdest monsters of the day, like, based on the craziest, oddest things ever and fit with the Sentai footage. But if you have, like, an overarching story or something that kind of connects it all together and makes it feel a little bit more grounded, then that's really all it needs. It's not that difficult. Just don't, like, talk down to us. Like, just give us something, normal.
RPM is a great example of having a crazy Sentai with the strangest Zords, the strangest monsters, but you told a really enthralling story, and you had so many different characters. And, the whole Tanaya thing with Dilling being, related to her, like, that was great. You have Ziggy, just being this comic relief, and they did that well. You have the three main characters, and you learned all about them and their backstories and stuff like that. Even Gem and Gemma, you have these Sixth Rangers that came along later in the show, but you still got to learn about them. You knew something about all the major characters in that show in 32 episodes with a extremely wacky Sentai. And it's regarded as one of the best Power Ranger seasons ever. Yet you have a show about, ninjas, and you can't tell a decent story? Like, that kind of writes itself. Isn't there, like, a show about, ninjas going on right now? Oh, yeah, it's called Ninja Turtles. And how long have they been going on? And how long have they been able to tell an enthralling story? I mean, I don't watch the new stuff, but I'm pretty sure it must have captivated audiences this long for some reason.
Yeah. I don't know. I think there's so many different challenges, and I want to kind of start to sort of summarize the things and kind of wrap up some of it. But I think, like, looking ahead at the franchise, I think the biggest thing is we're gearing up for the 25th anniversary, and as I want to be excited. I want to support the brand, but I think there's just so many different things that need to be improved, and it goes back to my little joke image at the beginning, the get well soon. Like, Power Rangers isn't dead. but they're sick. They're sick, you know, and they need to be cured. There's multiple treatments that are available if the right people would administer those treatments, you know, and we're there showing our support. We're there with the get well cards and the flowers and everything, and you know, we're willing to help pitch in and do a GoFundMe to help, you know, fundraise and get money, you know, give our money to them. They will accept it and take it, you know. I'm going way too far with this analogy. I don't know. But basically, like, we're there to support and see this franchise become something that we know it is. And I think, I mean, with the show, I'm very cautiously optimistic a little bit for Super Ninja Steel because of the whole 25th anniversary stuff and the guest cameos and that kind of stuff. We'll see how it all plays out. I think the biggest thing that I'm not as optimistic about is Bandai with the toys. And I don't know, like the new Legacy stuff, like some of these other things, like if I see it on the store shelves, I may pick it up. Like, I'll be honest, like the Zeo Gold Ranger and stuff, if I see it on the shelf or something, I may pick it up. I'll do a review and let you guys know my thoughts and stuff on it, but I'm not going to go out of my way to do it. And there are certain things that I'm not buying. I didn't buy the Legacy Black and Gold Titanus. I didn't buy the, you know, Legacy Movie Red Ranger helmets, or like certain things that, like, I'm starting to cut back on. Ninja Steel, like the main gimmick, I'm not collecting because I don't feel that it's worth it. And I think more and more people, it seems, are starting to do that. And so, I don't know, they really got to fix stuff with the state of the franchise.
I feel they need to just kind of go back to their roots and look at, like, you know, what made the Legacy line so successful. And, you know, you look at the Megazords, you look at the, you know, the props, the prop replica kind of thing. And, you know, you base it, you know, on you know, where were the fans happy? And, you know, you can pinpoint that. Certainly you can talk to numerous people and ask them, you know, what were the strong points? What were the weak points? And what can we do to help you? And, like, you know, oh, we have this idea, you know, what do you think about that? Maybe, you know, I feel like if you're going to do these test focus groups, get people, and I understand we're not 100% the target audience, but there is an audience for us. There is a group out there of adults who like it. So, you know, if you're going to make a line for us, get our opinion, you know, I would not mind giving, you know, my opinion on certain, you know, ideas they had if it were to mean, you know, a successful future.
Absolutely. I mean, like Jason Bischoff puts out, you know, these unofficial polls every now and then, and those, I mean, are what they are. But that's it. I mean, that's really seems like the only, you know, time we have input on things that are, and those are without context most of the time. Like it's not a formal, you know, saying, hey, we're seeking your input. We want to gauge your interest in these specific, like this specific product. That's how surveys work. You say, if we released X with X paint apps and at this price point, would you buy it? That's how you find out what people want.
Mm-hmm.
And there just needs to be more of that.
No, I totally agree. Totally. Real quick, I just want to get an idea for you guys. Like, what do you guys have, like, a few more minutes and stuff, or do you? I don't know, timeline, like time frame wise.
Oh, I'm good.
I'm good. Go ahead.
Okay, I was just to say, like, for the next few minutes or so, if people in the chat have certain topics that they want us to kind of discuss in the franchise, maybe we can just kind of talk about a few comments that post up in there, and then we'll wrap things up.
Sure.
Oh, sure.
That works. So if you guys in the chat have anything like that you think you want us to kind of cover that we didn't already with the franchise as a whole and kind of where things stand, post your comments and we'll kind of discuss there as well.
We're already doing what Bandai should be doing.
You know, I think Eric posted it earlier. But, like, just thinking, you know, how would you guys feel if the Super or the Legends line that they did during the 20th anniversary, how would you feel if they had continued that as the, you know, kind of the every Power Ranger ever line? Like, I saw them tweet that out and I was like, I think it was Eric. I thought that was a great idea. You know, I think that would be would have been something to work off of, considering how many Rangers they made.
Are you? I missed the first part of that. Are you asking about the super mega, like that super mega force line?
I don't remember what exactly it was called, but when they did all the Red Rangers and a select group of 6 Rangers, like if they'd continued that,
I think, and especially at that $10 price point, and I mean, and the paint wasn't as complete on those, but it's a cheaper price point and seemed to, I mean, again, like I said earlier, pushed out pretty well. People bought those figures. I have every single one of those, and some I have multiples of because I tried to buy to keep one mint and sealed box and one loose, and then I ended up opening all the boxed ones when I moved because I didn't want to deal with packing them. Yeah, those are great figures, and you know what? They all came with weapons too.
Yeah, and you look at the ones that were at the $20 price point that were painted well. I'd pay for those. I liked those figures.
Yeah, I mean, I think I totally would agree with that, and I think I forget was it then Dino Charge that came out afterwards that was a different scale or
they redid them after Dino Charge. I think they redid them after because they went from the 4-inch to the weird Super Mega Force ones, and then Dino Charge has kind of been the standard since then, I think.
Yeah, like to me, it's like just consistency. Like honestly, all these different waves, they're all fine. Just stick with one, just for good, so that way everything is consistent. Because then you change the scale, then we're always going to be wanting the other Rangers in that scale, which you're never going to be able to do because then like you're just not going to be able to release all those figures. And you change the scale again, and then like we're just constantly going to be disappointed. Like to me. And I don't think, in my opinion, that Bandai will ever release in any form of whatever scale, wave, whatever, even if it's not even action figures, like the cards like they had in Megaforce, every single Ranger in one wave of anything. I don't think that will ever happen in our lifetime. Bandai just can never stick to anything, and that's the frustrating part.
Come on, Bandai, accept this challenge. If you accept this challenge, I will buy every single figure. You just accept the challenge. Just come on, take the risk because it's worth it. Anyway, what kind of comments do we have? Any good ones?
And then they release them all as the Ninja Steel Power Stars.
Oh, jeez. I can't even I don't even like those, and I can't even find the wave that came out like at the beginning of the summer. Well, for 48 cents, hey, I can't beat that. 48 cents for 3 stars. Dang, let's do it.
I see a lot of people asking about Netflix and what would we think if Power Rangers moved to Netflix.
I don't think it could. I feel like with Power Rangers, like you need something that's sustained for a while to keep toys on shelves. If you have a whole season that releases at once, people's interest won't last as long. I mean, they've done it with other stuff technically, so it may work. I feel like maybe like a Boom Studios adaptation, like animated series on Netflix, would be awesome. Like that would be perfect for that. But I don't know. What do you guys think?
I completely agree with what you said.
I think.
Go ahead, Josh.
I don't know. I mean, because I don't know how the numbers on that Voltron series, but it seems like those do well in retail. Again, I mean, I don't know for sure. I don't know. I think it could work, but I don't know if moving to Netflix would necessarily solve some of the issues we have with the show. I don't think it would make the show better. I think that's a production issue, and that would, I mean, I guess I don't know how it would change. What would change about the production if Netflix were to enter into an agreement with Saban Brands, but I don't have any reason to think just because it moves to Netflix that it would help the quality of the show. Okay, we could watch it easier. That'd be nice. But yeah, I don't know if it would help the show's quality. Now again, like if it was a Netflix, like a Boom Studios adaptation, and that's the thing I keep talking about and keep bringing up. I don't know. To me, that seems like the thing that seems like the biggest no-brainer that's not being done right now. Like, take those comics, turn them into a cartoon. Expand on it, whatever you have to do. Bring back the freaking cast. I mean, like that would be, talk about a chance to mend fences with ASJ and David Yost and those people who don't want to have really relations with Saban Brands. Or at least it doesn't seem like. Yeah, you talk about. I mean, that would be a huge deal. Now I know that if Saban Brands started working with ASJ and some of those people that are more controversial. That brings up.
I was about to say, I'm not sure. I love Dover. I love Mighty Morphin Red. Jason, like one of my top favorite Rangers. Obviously grew up with him, but I don't know how I'd feel if Austin St. John is back. To do something like that. It'd be cool.
Yeah,
like the inner child of me would be freaking out, but then like realistically, it'd be like,
Yeah.
I'm basically what you guys said. I feel like if they could do some maybe adaptation of.
Oh, did we lose Kevin?
Kevin.
No.
He had a big epic thing to say. I think Bandai shut him down.
Oh no, Bandai's getting to us. They're shutting down the stream. They're like, stop talking crap about us. Oh man. Well, yeah, I don't know. I don't even know if he can hear us or not. He might still be talking and just not even realize it, or hopefully he can kind of hop back in.
Somebody asked, I wonder if Bandai is going to bring back the titanium morpher to the legacy line. That seems like a pipe dream. That'd be awesome, but we can't even get out of Mighty Morphin.
Tell me what kind of stuff you're on, if you are even thinking about the titanium morpher being in the legacy line. Like, really, that's never gonna happen.
Oh,
sorry, my phone died. And I quickly ran to my charger. Where are we at?
I don't know. You're about to say something very important.
All I was gonna say was I feel a cartoon adaptation of the comic would be awesome. Like kind of like they do those DC animated movies. Like they have some really great ones, and I feel like you could kind of take some of those arcs and turn them into, a movie. I mean, the comic is still, we're 20 issues in, but, I feel like if you're going to do it, you need to do it right. And I think maybe a year down the line when we have more material to work with, you could definitely do it. But like, but you have like Pink, you have Justice League, and that's more of a stretch because you have more licensing issues. But like with Pink and Go-Go Power Rangers, I feel like you could do them as mini movies or a mini series on Netflix, and I think it would definitely capture the fandom like Voltron has.
Well, and you know what else it does? It gives you a vehicle to push all this MMPR crap on the shelves.
Yeah, like
the one thing.
Exactly. I think you're about to say what I'm. Go ahead, Kevin.
The one thing that I've been like, if you're going to do all these Mighty Morphin legacy figures, you could seriously do a wave of Mighty Morphin legacy figures every year if you did it correctly. Do a wave of like, you did the metallic ones. If they had their ninja coins, I would have been a little bit happier with that, because then you have the season 3. And then you do, the ones from Lord Dracon's universe. You do the 1969 Rangers. Hell, do the Wild West Rangers, and I'll buy them. Just give me a reason to want to buy them. Don't, we were the metallic, we're on a good step, but, make them the season 3 ones, and don't make white like an exclusive, make it's kind of own thing. And then, move in. You have all these avenues for Mighty Morphin that you're not taking advantage of. I would buy in a heartbeat those, what were the centuries or whatever from the comics. I'd buy them in a heartbeat. Oh my gosh. I absolutely love that. Do that.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to do Mighty Morphin, I mean, I will gladly accept Mighty Morphin if it has to do with the Boom Studio stuff, for sure.
How has there not been an announcement for the 95 movie legacy figures? Like, how has that not been a thing yet? There are so many avenues, like I said, for Mighty Morphin to cash in on, to grab fans. I just feel like they're not taking advantage of it.
Yeah, let's see
what
else they're saying in the... Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just kind of laughing. You're right. MMPR could happen every other wave. You could milk it for a long time if you did it the right way.
Legacy Rita movie Green Ranger figure. I mean, come on. Like, I feel like that's a no-brainer too. Like, you literally just have to remold the helmet.
And that's actually a thing too, because I think there was reports before about a bunch of the other Power Rangers movie figures that they were going to release, like a Green Ranger, action figure, and like all sorts of different things. I was like, oh, this looks really cool. Like, I'm excited about it. It's going to be I think a Zordon action figure too and stuff. And I was like, oh man, I'm so hyped. Yeah, Command Center, everything. And honestly, I don't think any of it's coming anymore because the current movie stuff is not selling. Like, there's no reason for them to release it now.
No.
And so, like, that's so unfortunate because those things would have been so cool.
It's sad when the thing you get the most hype for in the year are Thomas the Tank Engine Power Ranger minis. Like, why is that thing that's excited me? I mean, I know why me.
Oh, man.
But why has that excited me more than, you know, the current wave of legacy figures? Like, I searched high and low for those Thomas engines. And, like, I'm just like, oh, okay, cool, legacy figures. That's cool, you know?
That was an incredible moment.
Oh, my childhood. I can die happy.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway. Any other questions?
Oh, sorry.
No, good. I was saying, any other questions?
I saw somebody ask earlier, it's been a little while up in the chat, if there was a sequel announced, like, I guess it was something like along the lines of what changes do you think would be made to make it successful? I've kind of reached a point where if we get a quote unquote sequel, I don't think it'll be a sequel. I kind of think it'll be another reboot type deal that goes all in on the camp with MMPR and kind of really throwing back to that. I would love to see a sequel with that cast that we have. I think those people are awesome.
I love it. I love them so much.
Story, like, I've watched that movie 9 times this year, or 9 or 10 times, and I love it. And you see different things, and that's, I'm a fan. Like, I get it. But I think if we get something, it'll be retooled. And maybe even if it was the same cast and the same quote unquote, you know, storyline, the tone of it would probably be more campy. And maybe that would be, maybe you could work that. Maybe you could mesh that together. But I don't know.
Yeah. No, I think I feel like it would just embrace a little bit more of that campiness for sure. Like, I think we'd get, I mean, obviously more Power Rangers, like action scenes in the suits and that sort of thing, and just kind of I feel like, you know, we'd get more of those Power Rangers tropes from the show. But really, I don't think if they kind of, you know, with the same level of storytelling that they did in the first movie, and they kind of continue with that and maybe change the tone slightly, that sort of thing, I don't think they need to do too much to get it to sell well when you just throw in the Green Ranger. I mean, you have trailers that have an evil Green Ranger fighting off against the Power Rangers. Like, that just looks epic and just really cool action sequences. I mean, the first movie was great. It did what it had to do, and it got people's attention, you know, in a way, certainly. But the people that it didn't capture, I mean, the people that saw the first movie, well, I feel like would want to see a sequel. The people that didn't see the first movie, I feel like seeing scenes of, you know, an epic Power Rangers battle like that with the Green Ranger, that would get them to the theater to see it. And I feel like that's that extra piece. Because if that movie fails, honestly, then I don't think there's anything they could do to make a Power Rangers movie work. But a green with evil story arc in that Power Rangers movie world, like, would be amazing, I think.
It's funny because, like, I think the one thing missing from the actual, like, the movie was just that fight with Rita. And I feel like if after the Megazord battle, when she falls out of Goldar, if the Rangers had jumped down and she had morphed into the Green Ranger, if you had that extra 5 minutes of fighting, I feel like that would have sealed the deal a little bit more for because I feel that's the one thing that was missing. There wasn't enough, you know, battling as the Rangers. And I understand you have a story you're trying to tell, which I love the story, but I feel like it could have cemented that, you know, a little bit more. I also feel like, you know, now that we know the characters, if they were to ever be a sequel, you have this, you know, Green Ranger story, because that's obviously what they were leading up to with the after credit scene. I had talked about it with my brother, and we said, you know, if you have, you know, you explore a little bit more with the characters, and you find you get to know them a bit more, because like you didn't, like Zach and Trini, I'd say, were the most downplayed in the movie. You could have a scene where, you know, Zach's mom's in the hospital, the Green Ranger attacks, and, you know, she ends up getting even more sick and hurt because of the attack. And then Zach just goes off on the deep end and goes off the deep end. He finds the Green Ranger and attacks him one-on-one and gets his butt kicked. And, you know, and then you learn more about Zach, you know he loves his mom. Show us what happens, if you take his mom away from him or if you hurt her, and then you have that, reaction with Jason and the team. Like, you can't go off on your own. We're a team here. We're not going to defeat him if we're divided. And then that divides the team even more, and then you kind of have to bring them back together to defeat this evil, because Zordon's not here. If they're going to go by green with evil, Zordon wouldn't be there. He'd be, out of the picture, and God knows where, I don't know what they would do with Rita. There's just, there's so many cool things they could do, and I'm sad because we're probably never going to get it. And it's
yeah, no, I totally see what you're saying, because they can easily make it a very personal movie where you really connect with the characters, and yet you add in this whole element of the evil Green Ranger, everything, and they fill in the missing. The first movie was fantastic. It was great, and it did what it needed to do. There's certain elements that I would have liked to see more of, for sure. Now, I don't fault them for not necessarily including in this movie, because it flowed well, everything fit together. But if there's a sequel and they don't include these certain things, I would be upset. And that would be exploring, obviously, Zach and Trini more, more action scenes with the Rangers in their suits, those types of things. And I feel like they could very easily fit all that into a Green Ranger movie. In fact, it almost kind of falls together on its own. It literally is, it's just there already. The template for the movie is just there. They just have to do it. But unfortunately, I just don't see that happening.
Yeah, you also have that. Oh, go ahead, Josh.
Oh, sorry, but I mean, you could even, you brought up splitting up the team, and we've kind of learned, within the movie universe, being unified and being there for each other. That's how the power comes from within them, and that's So you could even justify for a bit not having the morphed sequences, but you could have some fight sequences. You could have, more unmorphed. I mean, as fans, we love that stuff. You could do more of that in a second movie where you have, Jason and Kim are split off trying to do their thing, and Zach goes and fights the Green Ranger, and then they morph. And I mean, you can do things at night, anything that it takes to, because I think at this point, if we do get a sequel, it's probably going to have a lower budget than the first movie, I would guess. But they could still increase the amount of times those suits are on screen with a lower budget. I think, at least in my opinion, the filmmakers were pretty creative with how they handled all that in the first movie. So I think they could make it work in a second movie if it ever came to be.
Yeah. No, I totally think so.
If you started the movie off with a morphed fight, I feel like that would already get a lot of fans, kind of like Avengers 2 style. They're already in the middle of a battle. I feel like you could definitely, really get it going. You could also do something with Jason and Kim. We all know that there's obviously something going on between them. What if Kim starts falling for Tommy? Then you've got another layer of level. You've got a love triangle there that, fans like to, write about. But, you could actually make this a thing. There's so much potential, I think, to be explored that we're unfortunately never going to see unless they do a comic or a miracle happens or we film it ourselves.
No, yeah, I definitely one of the best parts of Power Rangers in recent years, and kind of sad to see that potential that could have been, but we'll see. I guess it's probably about time to sort of wrap things up. So maybe if there's our final statements on our thoughts on the franchise as a whole, go for it. What do you guys what are you guys left feeling about this franchise?
I mean, I don't know. I'm optimistic by nature. I wouldn't say I'm hopeful that things are going to be awesome in the 25th anniversary, but I am excited. Well, maybe excited is too strong a word, but I'm paying attention. I mean, I want to be excited about the trailer, the Ninja Steel thing with Sledge. That I'm intrigued by that. That's a thing that really makes me want to know about it and makes me actually want to pay attention to this next season. I mean, I would like to see the Legacy line improve, and maybe this, because I think this spike of frustration is different than things in the past when we've gotten upset. I mean, this is, to me, it feels like a fandom wide, outrage at this point, or at least a good portion of the fandom. So maybe that'll have. I'd like to see that produce something, even if it's Bandai saying we're killing the legacy figures and starting fresh with something else. I mean, at least we're not too deep into it that it would disrupt things too much. So yeah, I mean, I guess I would say I'm optimistic. Maybe I'm an idiot. I don't know, but
I'm right there with you, Josh. I'm I'm optimistic by nature as well. And I look for the bright side in things, and I'm hoping for the best with this franchise. Make Power Rangers great again. But jokes aside, like I feel like the simplest of things could be done to invigorate the fandom again and to get us excited and look, move on from where we are now. I feel like if Bandai, were to approach the fans a little bit more, open their ears a little bit, and actually talk to us about some stuff and, get our opinions and explore new possibilities, like a premium website for, legacy figures or whatever, I feel like that could really, seal the deal with Bandai. I feel like, from a show standpoint, just, a little bit better storytelling. The stories are there. You just, make them a little bit more interesting, make them, make us want to watch them. And because that's the thing, I usually don't watch these seasons until right before the finale. In fact, I need to do that because I haven't watched Steel, but the finale's coming up. I feel like I need to binge the first 19 episodes and then, all right, here's the finale. Cool. All right. See you next year. Whatever. I feel like that's going to be the same leading up to the 25th anniversary episode. Oh shoot, I should get caught up before the 25th anniversary. I it shouldn't feel like an obligation. I guess I shouldn't feel obligated to go out and look for these figures. I shouldn't feel obligated to watch the show. I should feel like enticed and want to go and search for these things like I did when the line first started. I can't tell you how many Targets and Walmarts I searched when the first wave came out. And now I'm like, oh, well, if I find them, maybe I'll pick them up. The only way you could convince me to buy a Zeo Gold Ranger is if there's a case assortment online and it has Zeo Yellow in it. Because that's something we didn't even talk about was the girl figures and stuff. I feel like we could go on for hours about this kind of stuff, but you just got to entice the fans, make them want to care.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Great points for sure. I mean, I totally agree. I think I also try to be optimistic when I can. And Ninja Steel hasn't been the greatest season. Super Ninja Steel, I'm hoping is going to be better if just for the fact that we'll have some old Ranger cameos, and that sort of thing, and Sledge and different, might be just something different, something interesting. We'll see. The toys, I feel like in a way it's kind of good because I can cut back on collecting finally, which is going to save me some money for sure.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I was having a hard time before deciding. I was like, I can't decide what to cut back on. I'm like, oh, thank you, Bandai, you're deciding for me. It's great. So, I mean, Super Ninja Steel coming out. So Ninja Steel toys were hit and miss, depending on which part of the toy line. I'm looking forward to Super Ninja Steel toys because it's something new. It's something, they have a couple new types of toys that they're making, so we'll see how that goes. Legacy toy line, not really super hyped for it, but, if I see something on the shelf, I may get it. So it's just kind of just taking it one step at a time and seeing where things go. So I'm, cautiously optimistic about certain things. I have low expectations about others. I'm not quitting this franchise anytime soon. Now, if everything just completely falls apart after the 25th anniversary, we'll revisit this and see where things stand. But for now, definitely with low expectations, moving ahead and seeing where things go from here. So we shall see.
Yeah.
But I want to thank everybody in the chat for joining and posting your comments during this, and thank both of you as well for joining. It was awesome talking to you guys. Thank you for hopping on.
Yeah, thanks for having.
Yeah, thanks for setting it up, man. And yeah, thanks to all the people for engaging throughout. It's fun to engage.
Yeah, absolutely. If you guys have any, if you want to promote your social media or anything as well, go ahead and plug it.
Josh, after you.
Yeah. At Kentucky Jam is my personal account. If you're at all, for whatever reason, interested in high school sports in the state of Kentucky, at HL Preps is my professional account. So there you go.
Cool.
You guys can find me on Twitter at ZeoRed93. I'll be plastered with Kyoryuger pictures all over. And if you want to hear me rant about Dino Charge or Dino Force Brave, geez, Dino Charge Brave, Dino Force Brave. I wish. See, I wish. If you want to see me rant about, Kyoryuger and all that fun stuff, and follow me on Instagram at Zeo93.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you guys, and thank you to everybody for joining, and I will talk to you all later. Bye, everyone.
Later.